It's also it's a fun thing to stay here for Christmas. When you live here and you stay for the whole holiday of Christmas and stuff, it is weird when you see people come here just for Christmas. I don't know, I'm not gonna lie. I get that it's like a magical New York Christmas. I understand we have a very big tree. I get it. But underneath all that, we're still just New York. You know what I mean? I know the lights are very pretty, but underneath those lights is just regular New York. It's still rats playing dice games, shanking each other when they go sideways. It's very jarring, you know? And it's interesting because so much of Christmas is for kids. It's specifically for kids to enjoy, you know? And it's weird because we spend the entire season of Christmas telling kids to do the opposite of what we tell them to do all year. All year we're like, don't talk to strangers. Don't you dare talk to a stranger. If a stranger even approach you, you yell stranger danger. You let them know that they're a stranger to you. And then for the whole month of December, we're like, yeah, go sit in that old motherfucker's lap. No, it's fine. Go. We make them. They don't want to do it sometimes. We're like, no, sit in his, so I can take the picture. Sit in his lap. Be still. Jeez. You know, it's harrowing. I knew a guy one time, okay, this should make me laugh the way it does, but all right, I used to work with a dude, and he would do part-time work as a Santa, but he was a black Santa. It just made me laugh how people would get to the mall and they see him and they want to be cool about it. They try so hard to be cool, but they'd also be like, so is there another mall close by? I've always felt like there's a lot of stuff around Christmas that I'm bad at, though. Like, I'm bad at wrapping gifts. I'm horrible at it in a way that's demoralizing. You know what I mean? Like, there's no quicker way when you give a gift to look like you can't read than to wrap it poorly. I'll even watch the YouTube video and I'll do all the steps with them, and I feel like there's steps they're not recorded, because then when they get done, they have a perfectly wrapped box, and I got a hexagon that looks terrible. It doesn't matter the gift. You could give the most beautiful gift. You could give someone a golden necklace for Christmas, and if you wrap it bad enough, it's gonna look like you stole it. Like, it's horrible. I use too much tape, I use too much wrapping paper, so all my gifts look like hostages. They're just extra wrapped up, like, It's horrible. I try to give myself, myself gifts sometimes, because I haven't always got the best gifts. There was one year where I'm pretty positive my dad forgot Christmas. Like, don't feel bad, I'm an adult. Just roll with me for the story, okay? So basically, I'm pretty sure he was coming to visit me, and I think he just slid everything that was on his kitchen counter into a bag. Because when he brought me these gifts, they didn't make any sense individually or all together. This was one of the craziest Christmas. Okay, so I'm little, right? And so this man gave me one AA battery. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this at all. So I even asked him, like, so what was the purpose of, and then my dad goes, in life, and I know y'all don't know my dad, but anytime my dad just started a sentence with, in life, he didn't know what else he was about to say. That was to buy himself some time. So then he was like, in life, you gotta remember who's in charge, so I gave you that battery as a reminder, so you in charge of your life. I'm 11, so you in charge of your life, And I was like, well, most things take 2 AA batteries. And he was like, no, that's part of the lesson, because in life, I can get you started, but I can't always get you there. What's wrong with this man? This dude got me a keychain. Not a Batman keychain, not a Power Ranger keychain. He just got me the ring. Just the keychain. I'm 11. I don't have keys. I don't have any access to anywhere you don't bring me already. So you just got me rusty metal. This is terrible. This man got me a picture frame. Just the frame from Walmart. It still had the white people in it. It had a whole white family in it having a wonderful day. Just at the beach like... Not even a picture of us, just the frame. All right. So I've started to get myself gifts, you know, just to make sure that at least one person is happy with the gift that they got me, and that's me, right? You know, I tried to gift myself something years ago. I was like, all right, let me be vulnerable, let me open up, because I used to be really laid back, and I was starting to get more and more tense every year. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go out on a limb, do something I've never done before. I'm gonna get myself a massage, all right? All my friends that go to spas, they can't say enough good things about it, so let me go ahead and open myself up to a new experience. I am not like a big man, and the person they got to give me my massage was the biggest man. He could have been. He's the biggest man I've been in a room with by myself. I was so upset having to be in a room with a man this big and only a towel. I was like, this is deeply upsetting. And I didn't know anything about spas, so I didn't know I could ask for somebody else. So then he would stand outside the room. I didn't know I could turn to the receptionist and be like, do you have anybody else? This man is so big, and his hands, he had the biggest hand. Anyone can do with their life what they wish. I'm a very live and let live type person. But these are boxing hands. Like, these are not masseuse hands. Like, he will mess around and rearrange my guts the way his hands are so big. And so then he starts in on the massage. He's been massaging me for like a minute and a half. And he is making all the noises I'm supposed to be making. And it could not be more upsetting. This man is rubbing my back and going, what do you do now? Like, because I don't have enough bass in my voice, and I'm exposed. I'm wearing a towel. I'm naked. I'm not a homophobic person, but it was a homophobe's nightmare. This was genuinely distressing. I'm just in a towel, and he on my shoulders like, God dang. You ever just wish you had a gun? Like, it was horrible. But I can't complain. I really can't. Other people have had it way worse than me as far as Christmases go. I grew up in Louisiana, and I moved to Chicago after college, and I was working with a dude who told me about his Christmas. He said his most magical Christmas that he ever had was also his most traumatic, because he had done all of the Christmassy stuff, and he loved Christmas. It was his favorite holiday, right? And so he went to see Santa at the mall, and then he had laid the milk and cookies out with his parents for Santa. Now, he lived with his mom and his stepdad, and he didn't like his stepdad. He called his stepdad Darren. Full thing, all the time. Stepdad Darren, all the time, right? His dude was like, you can call me dad. He's like, I'm not gonna do that, stepdad Darren, all right? And so then he had laid the cookies out in the milk with his mom and stepdad Darren, and then he had put on his pajamas, washed up, kissed them both goodnight, gave stepdad Darren more of a pound. He wasn't really like, we're not close like that yet. And then he went to bed, and he was trying so hard to fall asleep. You know, like when you're little and you're trying your hardest to fall asleep so Santa can come, right? You're trying to knock yourself out because you don't want to mess this up. You've done everything. You've been good all year. You laid out the milk and cookies. You don't want to mess it up now by being awake. And as he was falling asleep, he heard steps on the roof, right? And so he's like, oh my God, that's Rudolph. That's the whole crew up there right now. Like, I gotta fall asleep. He's trying so hard to sleep. What was actually happening was the night before Christmas, his house was being robbed. All right? And so he hears the footsteps on the roof and everything, and he's laying there trying to get to sleep. But you gotta think about it from his perspective. He laid out the milk and cookies. He went to bed. He hears the footsteps on the roof. Then he hears some noises in the living room. It is Chicago. His stepdad had a gun, right? So his stepdad shot the intruder in the leg. So from his room, he hears, bam! Ah!
Now, in his 9-year-old mind, he's just thinking about his stepdad having the gun. He's like, this dumbass done shot Santa. I'm not getting nothing for Christmas. This is bullshit. And I don't know what's more traumatic, what he thought happened or what they did next. Because then stepdad Darren is like, okay, this kid already hates me. And now he thinks that I shot Santa. So then he convinced my buddy's mom to let him show the dude in the living room bleeding. Right? So then he's like, no, buddy, I didn't shoot Santa. He's like, yeah, you shot Santa. I heard the gunshot. You shot Santa. And he's like, no, look. And then he opened the door, and there's just a man in the living room holding his thigh, like, ow, ow. And he's like, see, that's not Santa at all. He bleeding like a bitch. Santa don't even bleed like that. You all been so great. Thank you so much. I'm Josh Allen. Y'all have a great night.
It's my pleasure to bring him to the stage. He's one of my favorite comedians. You know him from The Daily Show. It's Josh
Johnson! I just finished. I had no idea the Diddy documentary would be episodes. Episodes. I knew a documentary was coming out. I thought it'd be like a documentary. You know, like when you see a documentary, it's a feature-length film, but it's a documentary. This is episodes. 50 Cent produced a documentary about Diddy that he's apparently been working on for a decade. And it has episodes. I've never hated someone for episodes. That's what every person I've ever hated has been a very short story. It's like, oh, we don't really get along, feel like they betrayed me, and that's about it. 50 Cent sat the world down for 4 episodes. This is crazy. 4 episodes. With some of the most, this is some of the best footage I've seen in a documentary, because what they did, this is insane. This is fundamentally crazy, okay? The documentary starts with Diddy in a hotel room talking to his staff and his lawyers about what to do about this like incoming indictment, right? It's like 5 days before he gets arrested, right? And as I'm watching this, I'm like, that's curious, because this is 50 Cent's documentary about Diddy, yet there's a camera in Diddy's hotel while he talks to his lawyers. He's talking to his lawyers about a strategy on what to do, like a game plan. How did 50... How did 50 Cent get this footage? Is he in disguise? How is he in the room for this thing? And then this dude's like on the phone. Diddy is on the phone, and he's talking about how we need to be aggressive, we need to come back. He literally says we need to get like the dirtiest, most like expert propaganda we can out there, which, okay, insane to say on camera, a camera I think you know is there. That's wild. I just had this question in my head of like, how did they get this footage? Turns out that Diddy was making a documentary and he had started recording everything because this documentary was going to be about like his comeback, right? So he's like covering everything himself, recording everything himself, so he has his point of view out there, right? So then he was going to make a documentary. He thought he was going to beat everything and then make a documentary, release that documentary, and then get everyone on his side again. And now you have to ask yourself, how did 50 come into the possession of Diddy's footage for Diddy's documentary about Diddy? This is crazy because he's making a documentary himself, but then he took that documentary Apparently what happened was that Diddy did go to jail and then he couldn't pay the cameraman. So then 50 was like, I'll pay the cameraman. And Diddy is such a terrible person. He is such a terrible person that even in the documentary he was making about his comeback, it makes him look so bad that 50 didn't need to edit any of it. It literally... He already said on a camera he knew was there, we need to get the dirtiest, like, most filthy expert propaganda we can out there. That was for his documentary. And then 50 took it and he was like, this will do nicely. Yes. This is fantastic. Because I was sitting there, I was like, because also, the other thing happened. So he gets off the phone with his lawyers, gets off the phone with his team and everything, and then he stands up and he's looking out the window, and out the window, he's like, gotta be like 26th floor or something. He's like in like a high rise, and across on the roof of another tall building, but on the roof of another building is just, Diddy is looking out the window to another building, and on top of that building is just the police. I'm not the police, so I don't know exactly how they operate, but that's the first. Usually in a stakeout, they hide. The fact that the police are outside Diddy's window on another building just like... This is crazy. Once again, this is his footage. His footage. That's wild. 50 Cent has been promoting this documentary with glee. He's been going because he hates Diddy so much. He hate Diddy. You think you hate stuff. You do. You think you hate things. Ooh, I hate racism. No, not as much as 50 hates Diddy. Ooh, I hate sexism. You haven't even met sexism if you compare it to how much 50 hates Diddy. Oh, I hate olives. You love olives compared to how much 50 hates Diddy. Not ready for how much 50 hates Diddy. He hates first of all, he hates some episodes. He hates this man. Episode after episode, he hates him enough to get good footage. Narrative stringing footage. Complete through line footage. Never before seen footage. Man, he hates this dude. He's been promoting it. He's been going everywhere, going on talk shows, everything. Goes on all these talk shows. This dude went on like MS Now, whatever they're calling it, and he's talking. I think he's talking to Ari Melber, and Ari is asking him, just seems like they're having a conversation about like him specifically, and they were like, "Do you have any like heroes, people you look up to?" And from what I could tell, 50 was basically like, I have people in my life that have accomplished things that I would like to accomplish, but I don't put anyone up on that level to just like call them my hero. He doesn't like deify a person like that. And then Ari asked him, what about like in your life, have you seen any like villains you don't want to be like, people you don't want pattern your life after? And he was like, he was like, Diddy. This dude, because this dude has been making this documentary for a while, just quietly, in the shadows, just collecting, just making it happen. A decade of work going into a documentary. And now it's like he gets to show it off. This is his baby. And you know how new parents are. You know how this is the miracle of life happened through you. You made this person that It's changed your whole perspective on the world. You see this person now that you can't touch. Anyone brings up, how have you been lately? How have I been? This person, the miracle of life, my baby. Look, do you want to see my baby? Do you want to see pictures of the baby? You have thousands of pictures of the baby. But no parent that I've ever met is promoting their child the way 50 is promoting this documentary series. This man went on, apparently, this is the rumor, apparently he went on like the ABC stations specifically to do the interview because ABC is one of the only stations they play in prison. This is a biblical amount of hate. Cain didn't hate Abel this much. This is wild. He is doing everything but looking right to the camera, smiling and waving at Diddy. This is insane. This is wild. He's smiling so hard. I've never seen him smile like this. This man's smiling. 50 Cent in every interview is smiling ear to ear. I didn't know he had dimples. I think they just came in. This is wild. Oh, he hates him so much. Oh, man. Wow. He hates him. So, like, I've never seen hate like this. And to produce something that is both, like, a product of your hate, because most hate is fruitless. You know, people talk about hate, and one of those famous quotes, hate is drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. Apparently, hate is also making a documentary series detailing how much everyone else should hate this person. One of the craziest things to me about the Diddy documentary is that the pure length means that he's more evil now. Now that we've got like a documentary about it, he's more evil now than a bunch of other historical figures. There are people from World War II that did not get 4 episodes on them anywhere. That's crazy. During the trial, I don't know if y'all saw this, but there were some people that were they were out there saying like free Diddy. They were out there, you know, with signs, like picketing, like he might be innocent, and maybe he was just another innocent black man being railroaded by the system. And apparently, all those people were being paid $20 an hour by Diddy. Here's the thing. This is what's so funny about that to me, is that like, they're out there being like, he's innocent, but they're also not hiding the fact that he is paying them to say that. And not only is he paying $20 an hour to stand outside and be like, yo, free Diddy outside the courthouse, but even while paying $20 an hour, he was only able to get like 14 people. Do you know how guilty you have to be offering up money and then people just pass it by the street like, I think I'm good. Do you know how many people could use $20? People literally, you know, get on the train asking for change in New York all the time. And even they were like, you know what? Not every $20 is a good $20. Oh, this documentary is insane because there's so much that we knew beforehand. There's so many things that we already knew where we were like, all right, this is, you know, we've all seen it. A lot of baby oil, way more baby oil than anybody needs, right? Which I will say this, watching the documentary now, knowing what we know, editing-wise, they didn't need that many shots of baby oil. That does feel like 50 Cent was standing in the editing room like, no, and put some baby oil right there. No, they mentioned baby oil, so go ahead and throw to the baby oil. Okay? Oh, but you watch it and yeah, you already knew the things he was implicated in. You already saw, oh, okay, there's this shooting way back when, there's this assault of this other rapper, there's all these like whisperings, and then you watch the documentary, and I don't know how he did it. I don't know how 50 Cent did this. This man managed to get things we've never seen before. Do you know how hard it is to have never before seen footage of things from like 20, 25 years ago? Like, a good example is, in the documentary, they talk about how much Diddy may have had to do with the deaths of both Tupac and Biggie, right? Which is also insane that someone who can't rap at all may have deprived us of two of the greats. That's crazy. It's so disgusting. It would be like if Trump shot two of the presidents that were on Mount Rushmore. Like, it's... like, and then years later, we're just sitting here like, not Lincoln. How you gonna do that to George Washington? No, it's wild. And so in the documentary, there's like footage, never before seen footage of moments leading up to the deaths of both Biggie and Tupac. I can't describe how hard it is to come by things we didn't even know existed. Both of these were police investigations. The police investigated, not hard, the police investigated both the deaths of Biggie and Tupac, and somehow 50 Cent found footage. I've never in my life hated somebody enough to find footage. There's like this video, and this is also, you gotta go back to when this happened. This isn't when everybody had like a footage maker in their pocket. Do you know how we are accidentally being surveilled at all times? All of us. I know you think you're not because maybe you don't have your phone out and you're not posting where you are all the time, but the phone knows. The phone is very aware of where you are. And the phone loves snitching. The phone, one of your phone's favorite things to do is hit up a Fortune 500 company and be like, we over here. In case you want to study our patterns, figure out how to advertise to us, we're right here. We are completely and totally surveilled all the time. People don't realize that, like, even if your phone is off, you were just taking a walk. Maybe you're like, you know what? I want to break. I want to break from everything. I'm gonna take a quick break. I might even leave my phone at home and I'm just gonna go for a walk. That's great. Detach for a second. The thing in your pocket is too much of your life, and too much access to you comes through that thing. Like, sometimes just for the sake of your mental well-being, it's important to take a break from it, right? And you assume when you take that break that the phone can't even snitch. Meanwhile, you're taking a break, walking through your neighborhood, getting caught on every Ring camera. Everybody got a Ring camera. You getting caught from Ring camera to Ring camera to Ring camera to Ring camera to Ring camera. And even when they try to ping your phone, the phone like, he not here. Like, the phone loves snitching on you. The idea that like any crime goes unsolved is wild to me. The way we are surveilled now, I'm like, how'd you not catch them? I know where they are right now. It's crazy. So you go back a little bit. Go back to before it was so easy to keep track of everyone. Because even when people text you, they expect an answer from you. They have your number. They know it went to your phone. It said delivered on their end. right? And unless you fixed it on your phone snitched on you to them. It said red to them. It said red. It said, he saw it, he just don't want to answer. It said it. It told you. It told you immediately, right? And so even when you text someone, we expect immediate answers. We expect a sort of immediacy from everyone. And if you're not getting it, then it must mean something, right? Let's go back to a simpler time. Go back to the 90s when, you could just move about the world. I'm surprised people in the 90s, like, I'm a 90s baby, but I was a baby. I was a child. I didn't have the chance to take the opportunities allowed. But how did everybody that was an adult in the 90s not serial kill? It seemed like it was right there. Anytime somebody older than me hates somebody else older than me, I'm like, you could have been dealt with that. That seemed like, all right, you don't want to solve a problem, that's on you. But like, I'm just saying, it's crazy to look back, even like CCTV footage from like 1990. It is indistinguishable from a game of Pong. Like it's so unclear what is happening in the thing. I can't believe anyone ever went to jail off of the original CCTV footage. It's so hard to tell what is happening. I can't tell if that's somebody beating somebody up on a street corner or if that is the Sasquatch. It could be either one of them. Black and white, barely imaging, got pixels everywhere, just moving. And it's like, as you can see right here, no, I can't see that. I can't see that at all. Even when I watch old episodes of Law and Order, and then they play the footage, that's how you know it was bad. I'm watching on TV, them pretend to be lawyers on TV. And they're still like, as you can see right here, and even sitting at home, I'm like, there's no way anybody can see anything. Like, is this where I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief and be like, it's a TV show, I can see it. Like, go back to a simpler time, right? Go back to a time where if you wanted there to be footage of something, you had to go out of your way. Truly out of your way. You accidentally make footage now. People don't realize that, but like even some of the things that get people caught when they do a crime weren't even them being stupid. But some people are very dumb. Some people are incredibly dumb. And they're like, look at me doing a crime. That is happening. And that's happening a lot. We got to get the youngins to stop doing the crime in front of their phone and then posting it. Doing the crime at all is bad. We should start there. But also, doing the crime and recording it is insane. Doing the crime, recording it, and posting it yourself. We have got to, the snitch is in the house. Like the snitch is you. The snitch is in the mirror. There's no one got to tell on you anymore. You post it. Look at me doing the crime. At what time is it? Let me take a screenshot of myself. Hold it today's. Let me take a screenshot of myself holding up another phone with today's most viral TikTok so that everybody can know for certain that it was me and I did it and I'm proud of it. And then when I show up in court, I'll be like, who? No, truly, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back to the 90s when you could just go for a walk, having, I don't know, killed somebody, and then truly, I don't know how up until recently, up until like the true sort of overwatching surveillance police state that we don't really sit aware that we live in. Like until then, I'm blown away that a cop ever solved a crime. That's true detective work. If you go back to the 90s and you're like, there's footprints. These footprints, let's check the footprints against the shoes that have been made in the last 10 years. Like all that stuff is like real detective work. And when they caught someone, I think I would have been like, wow. How? This is crazy. Police now, they're just like, that looks like him in the video he made. I'm just saying, he said his whole name, so it might be him. You know, like him and this dude, they had beef, so then he beat him up on camera, recorded himself beating him up because he thought it would look cool, and then held up his own driver's license and then posted it to Instagram. It just seems like an open and shut case. Police work back in the day seemed like real work, I guess. Like, that's how'd you catch anybody? They weren't here for it. Then you got to track down the people. Then you got to get interviews out of the people. The people don't want to cooperate because they're more scared of this person than they are of you. And then you got to connect dots. You got to wait for DNA stuff to come. The DNA testing wasn't even like that good up until recently. There was like bad DNA testing. The early stuff, they were on to something, but it was bad. They'd send it off, and the test results would come back. It is blood. You haven't helped me at all. Whose blood is it? Somebody red, I think. Like, it's gotta be somebody red. Because the whole thing was red, so. And now you can enhance images. Even if you got a grainy image, you can zoom in and enhance it. And you can't necessarily enhance and upscale it the way that they did on TV, but a lot of science follows a lot of like entertainment. It's funny how that does keep happening, where there will be an idea, you'll see it on TV. It doesn't really exist that way, but then it almost becomes the design for the thing that will exist one day because it fits into the imagination so well. They're like, oh yeah, why don't we just have facial recognition that cross-references all the other faces we have in the database, and then you just run it and it goes face. That's him. That's him. Wouldn't that be better? You know? But instead, you're talking about the 90s. You're talking about a time where you could just go for a nice long stroll, not be on camera anywhere potentially, depending on where you were. You know, you could make a call, you could make a phone call, and there would be a record with the cell phone company of who you called and when you called them. That type of thing was there. That level of like surveillance was in place, but they wouldn't necessarily know the whole content of the call. You know, not like now where people basically do phone calls for the world. You know, you see these voice memos that people leave, and I'm like, that's the most, you might as well have just told me and the company what you had to say. People will leave a voice memo, and some of them are very sweet. I always love getting a voice memo. I'm just saying, they've already got on your phone, we'll summarize everything. We'll summarize it for you. Actually, I learned to read a long time ago, so I don't need you to summarize anything for me. You'll see a text message. Text message will be from your mom, and it'll say, Mom expresses feelings of concern. But then you look at the company, and you're like, why y'all read my text message? Like, we're not reading it. No, we're not reading it. We're not reading it at all. I'm like, that was a pretty good guess, though. When I opened the phone, it was my mom being like, I'm concerned about you. Just let me see my message. It's crazy. They don't do that anymore. You used to get a text message, and then you would see like a little preview of it, and you could just read the preview, and based off the first half of the sentence, you could decide if it was something you were willing to reply to right now. You know? Because you can't just open it right away. It'll say read. But if you get a text message from someone and the first few sentences might pop up on your phone and it's like, where do you get off? You're like, all right, I'm gonna have to address that later. But now you get the text message and it's like a full summary of what you were definitely about to read anyway. That's weird. It's like, how? How does anybody get away with anything now? Especially now that crime is dumber. How does anybody get away? It takes you back to those times in like the 90s. Maybe you go for a walk, maybe you are just driving your car, and you're truly like free in a way. There's nobody really looking for every little move that you make. And In the case of Diddy, somebody should have been. Somebody should have been watching, checking the entire time. You know, you see in this documentary the relationship between Biggie and Tupac, the relationship between East Coast and West Coast, and how so much of the actual troubles were like orchestrated, they were stoked by Diddy. Like Biggie liked Tupac. They were cool. And then Diddy was jealous of Pac. Diddy was jealous of Pac because Pac was everything he wanted to be. You know, he was charismatic. He was truly like a poet that could make you understand where he was coming from. You did not have any sort of similar life experiences to him at all, but he could express himself in a way that brought you in. No matter where you came from, there was real connection there. He could build and he could bring together real community, right? And so for that, he was loved, he was instantly accepted, he was praised. And if you're someone like Diddy, you see that and you're immediately jealous of it. It's everything you want to be. He's good looking, he's young, he's successful in a way that comes from his effortless talent and his hard work. He's everything that Diddy wanted to be, and that Diddy knows he isn't or wasn't. You know, Tupac was a rapper. Do you know what I mean? Like, Diddy, I know Diddy want to rap. Ooh, Diddy want to rap so bad. One of the most dastardly things this documentary has done in some of the editing is just showing Diddy dance for no reason. You can tell Diddy not talented from the way he dancing. I know it's a harsh statement to make, but Diddy dances. Diddy dances like Tom Cruise from Tropic Thunder. Like Diddy. And Tom Cruise was on rhythm. You know what I mean? Like Diddy was over here in the documentary. Like he was trying to land a plane. I was sitting there like, what am I watching? I'm just saying, you go back to that time, right? Go back to the time in the 90s when your phone was just a phone. Like the cell phone was only a phone. You could make a call and play Snake. Maybe Centipede if you were fancy, but like that's all it was. It had that stick that came out of the antenna that shot out of it that for some reason wasn't out all the time. Why would you not pull it out all the time? If you want to have a good call, why do you need to pull it out? Shouldn't it just come out every single time? And then you would drop it. You drop your phone and it was not a big deal. Look at people that drop their phone now. This is how you can tell we're all addicted to our phone. Watching someone drop their phone is like watching somebody drop crack down a drain. They're like, oh! They had never before seen footage of the moments leading up to both Biggie and Pac's death. Never before seen, and not never before seen as in these are the tapes we've been looking for the whole time. We didn't even know these angles existed. That's crazy. And that's very hard to do. Like you see tragedies happen now, and because of social and because of search, people can pull for all the different angles, all the different sides to anything that has happened since everyone started carrying a cell phone, right? But this thing is crazy. You see them walking. You see Tupac walking all the way up until a fight that he got in. And then later, you see through footage things that people have not seen before leading up to his death. Same thing with Biggie. There was this moment in the documentary where there's somebody sitting in their own car, right, with a camcorder, which is weird. I know we're going in the Wayback Machine, but even in the 90s, nobody sat in their car with a camcorder. That's a new thing. Recording yourself in your car is a new thing. It's a relatively new thing to humanity. We weren't doing this before maybe TikTok. Like, we weren't doing it that much. And now people record themselves in their car so much. Why did we start crying in the car? Look, I know it's already like a social phenomenon and everything, but we will need to stop. Like, that's people recording themselves crying in the car. Because the first video I saw somebody crying in the car, I don't remember what they were crying about, but they were talking about something, and it was something big. It was something happening in the world. But they were like, And I saw them in the car. And they were talking, they were like, it's so unfair, this is life, you know, it just comes at you, this is horrible, what are you supposed to do? And I remember sitting there like, okay, all right, they're making some valid points, I understand why they're upset, but who recording them right now? This is terrible. Why would somebody record them and then put it online? And then, because it was just, I was scrolling when I saw it. So then when I clicked on the profile, I saw it was their profile. I was like, oh, somebody then hacked them and posted a video of them crying. That's terrible. This is a true demon that got a hold of their footage and then posted to their page of them crying. That's so embarrassing. Oh, I hope they find justice, right? I was so interested, genuinely. I was so perplexed at what was happening, because then the other people commenting weren't addressing the fact that this person crying is their like, no, I seem to be the only one confused about what was happening. Everybody else in the comments was like, keep your head up, you know, like all this. And so, look, I was curious about how this was going to develop, because I've been, you know, witness to many of my friends that have been like hacked, especially when Facebook was like young, and then somebody would get on your Facebook, they type out a bunch of things on your timeline, just like dumb stuff, and then, you know, you would get them locked out, you get back on and everything. So I've seen this before, but I don't know, I was so invested in how this person was gonna come back from this that I did follow them, right? I hit follow just to be, because I'm expecting any day now they're gonna be like, hey, somebody, you know, broke into my account and posted me at my weakest moment. Thank y'all for the support, and so I followed. And then a couple days later, I saw another video. I saw the handle, and I saw a profile picture, so I saw that it was them again. And I'm sitting here scrolling up, and they're in their car again. And then I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is where they're gonna say like, hey, somebody broke into my account. Thank y'all for the well wishes and everything, but I'm good. I don't want y'all to see me in that light. That was a very weak point for me. And so when I scrolled up, I'm fully expecting them to say the thing I just said, but then they started talking. They were like, yeah, I just wanted to reach out to everybody. Thank you all so much. You know, the comments you left and the messages I got really touched me and everything. And just, and I was like, no, wait. There's no way, though. No. And then I put it together. I was like, wait, they were recording themselves crying in their car. That's the most private time to cry. we need to go back just for the sake, once again, of our mental health as a nation. We got to go back to just having a crash out parked in the car and let that be history. Like that. You are not your best when you cry in your car. I would throw it out there that maybe you don't want people hearing what you have to say when you're to the point where you break it down parked in your car somewhere. Stop broadcasting it. This is bad. This is very bad. Because it's not, I've never seen a cry in my car video and been like, oh, yeah, that'll change things. I'm just saying, like, if you in the car, right? If you in the car, and you are upset, it's understandable. This life is hard, and sometimes people feel like they gotta walk it all by themselves. They don't know the support they have, they don't know the people that they have in their life, and in those moments, there's an opportunity. You could use that time to reach out to someone and tell them that you need help. You could reach out to someone, and even if, I'll even pitch this, if you're very bad at asking for help, right? Try to help someone else. Because the same bond that leads you to help someone else will then have them looking out for you whenever things are down for you, right? You have this thing in your phone. You have this thing. It's incredibly powerful, right? It tells everybody where you are. Government, friends, everybody. Everybody know where you are. Everybody knows where you are. Everybody knows. People you don't know where you are. People you've never met know where you are. Right now, they know you're here. Like, people know where you are because it's the thing in your phone, but you also know where other people are. You can reach out to people. If you need help, this could be a way that you get the help that you need. It could be. Or you could buy one of those little dashboard stands. You know, and it's got that little knuckle on it that you put the thing on from the back of your phone and you... Or you could do that. You could do that. That's an option. It's possible you could give that a shot as well. Because I do think, here's the thing I'll throw out there. I do think that crying in the phone, like crying in the car on the phone, I think that genuinely came from a fundamental epidemic of loneliness. Do you know what I mean? Like that thing is not something that's born out of having a wealth of people to talk to. You know? It comes from being in a place where, sure, everyone will like shirk it off, they're just looking for attention, whatever, but I think it goes deeper than that. And I think it's people like literally, genuinely crying out for someone to hear what they have to say, for someone to have their back, for someone to get them, right? And so they reach out to the whole of the internet, and then what they get back in return, sometimes it's a bunch of hate, sometimes it's a bunch of love, whatever it is, sometimes it's just people, keep your head up, whatever. But I don't think it's a substitute for like genuine human connection, like having that person to sit in your car with you, to look at and go, like that, like, that's much better. That's just between the two of you. And instead of becoming your worst moment online, it becomes like an intimate moment you have with a friend who has your back, who you can cry to, right? I said all that to say somebody in the 90s was sitting in their car with a camcorder, like a camcorder, do you remember what this was? It was this metal with lenses in it. And buttons, way too many buttons. They had more buttons than what the camcorder could do. The camcorder is over here promising all that good stuff, and then you hit the button and it look exactly the same. It doesn't, nothing's changed at all. Sitting there with the camcorder. Because the camcorder had that strap. It had that strap right on the back, so that way, you know, you could do some real journalism, some true video journalism. You know what I mean? Some people had the camera and they had to hold the big thing and they got to put their eye into the little pocket. Not with the camcorder. Camcorder even had the little screen popped out. And so you just had it ready. Bow! I see everything. Where were these cameras even from? It's crazy. Where is the camera from? Because there's a thing that had never been aired before, where someone is in their car and they're like, "Is that Biggie?" And then you hear pop, 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 pop. Oh my God, they just got shot. Somebody call somebody. And then you hear like someone who's like in the car calling 911, but you see from their perspective, first of all, who are they? Where have they been this entire time? That's crazy. Where did they? Maybe there's a chance that in all of this investigative, in the long time, apparently like a decade, that 50 Cent's been working on this documentary, that somebody somewhere was able to pay somebody for something that they had never given anybody before. And you know, there's also different reasons why you might hold on to something. Imagine you're there when something like this happens. You may not want to broadcast it to the world that you were right there and then you saw something on tape, because they didn't see a person, they just saw that these shots were happening, right? And so maybe you don't want to broadcast it because now you don't want to go to the police in a thing where they seem to have no leads and be like, "Oh, I have some extra information for you." Maybe, I don't know. It's plausible, but it seems just so wild that these two moments would meet up. That somebody would just be recording in their car with what had to be like a camcorder. Who just walked around with a camcorder in the 90s like that wasn't shooting their own document, like just in the car with the camcorder all the time in case something happens? Fast forward to present and it ends up in this Netflix documentary about Diddy. Maybe that's what happened. But what seems just as likely is that 50 Cent time traveled back in time. With the camcorder, right? Because you don't want the resolution to be too clear. People start asking questions. Time travel back in time, sat in the car and point the camcorder in the direction. Oh, is that Biggie? Pop, 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 pop. Oh no, someone shot Biggie. I'm gonna go back to the future. And there's so many, it's a documentary so full of detail, you almost have to rewatch it, because then there are things that go over your head the first time where you don't even realize how evil the thing that Diddy was, because so much information is flying at you. It's like information, here's a tidbit, here's an interview, first-hand account, somebody was there, baby oil. Here's another tidbit, here's a first-hand account, here's what someone had to say, here's something that we didn't even know Diddy did, baby oil. There's so many instances of them cutting to baby oil that sometimes some of the evil gets a little lost. You know, the idea that this man might have had so much to do with Biggie's death and then went on a campaign like he was Biggie's best friend in the entire world. It's not just insane. that people let him get away with it. What's even worse is that he, through this memorable event, right? All throughout Bed-Stuy, Biggie's funeral, right? And then no one knew, I didn't know until I saw the documentary, that he made Biggie's estate pay for that funeral. Yeah, like that's, and if you get too distracted by the baby oil, you might miss that detail. You know? And it's a scary thing that what gets revealed in this documentary isn't just how bad Diddy was, it's also how bad so many of us want money, fame, something he could dangle over people that really let a lot of this abuse keep going, that really kept a lot of his secrets, that really kept people doing whatever it would take to be in the loop. You know, people can only have a real power over you when they have something that you want. Once you decide that you don't want it that bad or that you're going to get it for yourself, they have nothing over you. You know, and there were people who tried to do that. And so then Diddy would, you know, come at them with violence. At least if I can make you fearful, if I can't make you want anything, if I can make you fearful, I can keep you in line. You know, there's just so many people that have ended up dead. That's kind of like through the documentary sort of laid at Diddy's feet. Like either he's out here having people killed and doing all this stuff, or he's one of the unluckiest people to be around. Like that's, either way, I would never want a track record like that. I would never want people to be like, oh yeah, I met Josh Johnson a week ago and now I'm real sick. One of the things that's so harrowing about the documentary to me is that you see how long Diddy got away with things that people are saying plainly that he just did. They're saying, no, this thing just happened, and then everyone was acting like it was normal, and everybody was acting like it was normal because apparently it was normal. It was normal for him to do all these things, whether he was beating up somebody, he was abusing somebody, he was stealing from somebody. All these things were like incredibly normal, and it's genuinely terrifying that something like that was able to become normal for a person. But it was able to become normal because there are in instances, it's a hard judgment to pass, but there are certain instances where you see a shade of someone who is big and bad and powerful and using all that power for evil, and you see a shade of that in even some of the people around them that they might be mistreating. There were plenty of people that were like cool with all this mistreatment until it came around to them. Or they were cool with everything that Diddy was doing, as bad as it was. They could look the other way, they just wouldn't acknowledge it, but then they got fired. You know? And there is no Diddy without a bunch of little Diddies running around wanting to be like him, wanting to emulate that sort of thing, wanting to have power just so that they had choice what to do with it. Because one of the things that people with power like to do is they love to rob you of your choices. You know, there's always a choice to a degree. It may not be a choice that you like, but they love to rob the sort of feeling of freedom you have over your choices. You can make very hard choices. Someone could walk up to you and say, give me all your money or I'm gonna kill you. And you could say, kill me. You could. It is a choice. Some people would say that's no choice. It is. It is a choice. They said, give me all your money, or implies a different outcome. Right? Do this or this. That's your choice. It's not a good choice. Don't get me wrong. It's not something that I envy. It's not even something that I'm saying it's easy to walk away from. It's easy. It's scary. It's scary when someone with power wants something from you or they want to take something from you and you don't know how you're going to survive, right? But they don't get away with this thing. It takes time to become the person that Diddy was. It takes decades. It took him decades. It took everyone looking the other way for little things, then big things for so long that finally he does seem like this unstoppable, unbeatable force. He does beat people down in court. He does beat people down in person, right? But these people can't get to where they are without us. They can't get to where they are without us looking the other way, without us slightly condoning, not quite condemning. They can't get that way without, these people just don't come out of the woodwork. He started as this kid who didn't even drink, who didn't do drugs, but he had an idea in his head of what a man was and what a powerful man was, and he wanted to be those things at any cost. And so he took it upon himself to start himself down that road. Fast forward 20, 25 years later, this is the type of person who thinks he can beat people in front of cameras. You know? And what does it take to take down a person like that? Because they seem so powerful. They have so much money. Diddy valued at billions, right? What can you do to a billionaire? How do you take a person like that down? One piece at a time. All of us. It takes all of us not looking away. It takes all of us doing something. You know, because people have said in the documentary, people have said in interviews that when Diddy is like in his element, he's untouchable. You would think he was a god. But when you're alone in the room with him, you see, not only is this just a man, this is like still that like kind of scared kid, kind of insecure kid, right? That in no way condones anything that he's ever done. That in no way is like an excuse. I'm just saying that's like the truth. The armor is a facade, you know? One of the craziest things that has happened since the documentary came out is that Ja Rule came out against 50 Cent and called him a snitch for making the documentary, which is not a popular side to take. That is weird. It's a weird thing to say when no one was talking to you at all. That's not a smart career or business move. You saw someone who still hates you produce a documentary for Netflix about someone else they hated that is 4 episodes long. You saw that and you thought to yourself, I'll get involved. Are you out of your mind? I was blown away. Called him a snitch and everything. Ja Rule, by the way, I looked up Ja Rule just to see what was up. Just, you know, I wonder what Ja Rule had been up to, because it wasn't rapping, right? And most recently, the last time Ja Rule made headlines was because he got punched at a Brandy and Monica concert on their The Boy Is Mine tour. Where you get punched says a lot about where you are in life. Do you know what I mean? If you're a rapper and you get into a fight at a rap concert, that seems par for the course. If you are a rapper and you get punched backstage at an R&B concert, you must have had it coming. These people are singing melodies. I'm not a fighter, but one of the worst things to do is to get beat up to soft music. Imagine now. Imagine I went to a gospel concert and got slapped. You'd be like, well, he must have had it coming because they're here to worship. This is crazy. You got punched. And then he posted a video of himself, you know, smiling at the camera, showing he didn't have like a mark on him or anything, which would be badass, except you got punched in the back of the head. Like, your face should be fine. If you have damage on your face or being punched in the back of your head, I'm very sorry to report you are dead, sir. That's what happens when you die. If you get hit in the back of the head and it affects the front. Imagine you get punched to Brandy's music. I've talked about it before, you know, I've had fights, you know, I'm not acting like I've won all of them or anything, but imagine if I got whooped to Taylor Swift, you wouldn't be able to respect me. Even when I hear that "you belong with me, son," I flinch. Like, that would change your whole life, getting beat up to Taylor Swift. Or like Maggie Rogers, like you get beat up to some indie music. It would destroy your reputation. I don't even know why would Josh say anything? The last notable thing you did was Fire Festival. Like you didn't go to jail, but Billy did. But you were his partner. You were in all the pictures with him. That's crazy. The only thing scarier than the documentary is that Diddy's gonna get out. I'm terrified. I've been talking reckless. I really thought he was gonna go down. I was positive. I was positive. I was so sure justice was gonna prevail. You know what I mean? This is crazy. This is crazy. This is so insane. The American justice system had one job, right? One job. Finally, a black dude did everything. And somehow this is the one that slips through the cracks. That's crazy. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how many people I know have been arrested or gone to jail for something slight? They barely had it. But then a jury was like, maybe they did it. Let's send them away. Diddy and OJ are the two people that I've seen where I'm like, guys, what? What? This is crazy. You watch this. It's insane. You watch this documentary and you're like, wow, this dude is a true demon. Like in every sense of the word. Like he's so evil. It's horrible. It's horrible, the things that he did to people. There's never any excuse for it. No matter what your childhood was, no matter how much you're lacking in love, no matter what trauma you've been through. There are people who have always had it worse than other people that don't go about doing like evil business. And because I believe in like forces in a way. I do believe that there are some people that are so pulled to like the worst of their nature that they'll do whatever it takes to feed an ego, to keep a side of themselves quiet that makes them question the things that they're doing, you know? But I also truly believe in balance. I believe in balance, and I don't think that like any man is like truly a saint. All of us have our issues, all of us have our problems, and we have our things that keep us human. We have our mistakes, we have everything that drags a person down, right? So I would never try to put a person on a pedestal or make them some sort of living saint because I don't know what their inner thoughts are. I don't actually know their heart. I don't know if the good that they do is to be seen doing good or if it's to actually put more good in the world. I can't tell you, I have no idea. But because I grew up in a religious home with a grandma that really believed in Jesus. You know, I've seen that picture of Saint Michael stepping on Satan's neck. And I don't know, it just kind of feels like that's what 50 Cent is doing to Diddy. You know what I mean? Like, got the sword and everything.
You've seen him all over The Daily Show. You've seen him on YouTube. I want y'all to put your hands together, put your hands together, put your hands together. Give it up for Josh Johnson.
My most recent obsession is this court case, this lawsuit against Cardi B.
All right. If you're not familiar with Cardi B, Cardi B is a rapper, and she is also a national treasure. Cardi B is incredible, and this case is pretty wild. Basically, what is being alleged in this case is that Cardi B assaulted a security guard. It's alleged that Cardi B assaulted the security guard, and you hear both stories throughout the case. The security guard's story is that she was at work, securing the building. And then Cardi B walks in, and then she's like, "Oh, Cardi B." And Cardi B didn't seem to like that she was approached, that Cardi B was like, "What are you doing right now? Why are you in my face?" And that Cardi B got nasty with her very quickly. And so they were in the elevator together, and she said that she followed Cardi B out of the elevator to clear up any confusion. I don't know if it was to apologize or anything, but she admits that she did follow Cardi B into the elevator and out of the elevator. And then she said Cardi B really lost it and started cursing at her and everything, and then started swinging on her and stuff, and that she got a little nick on her cheek from Cardi B scratching her face, right? And then the receptionist and the doctor that Cardi B was there to see, because Cardi B was in the building for a doctor's appointment, that they broke up the fight, and then everybody went about their way. But because of this assault, because of this nick on her face, she is suing Cardi B for about $24 million. I'll tell you right now, for $24 million, Cardi B could cut up my whole leg, okay? If Cardi B chopped up my leg and gave it back to me in a bucket, I would be like, "You'll be hearing from my lawyer." $24 million. That's crazy. So then, Cardi B's account of things is that she was going to the doctor. At the time, she was pregnant. She didn't want anybody to know she was pregnant. She didn't tell anybody, and she didn't even tell her security guard where she was going that day, her personal security, because she was just trying to keep this whole thing private, right? And even the doctor's office had blocked out time just to make sure they didn't have other clients coming in back and forth, and Cardi B was gonna be the last appointment of the day, right? So Cardi B shows up to the building, and then immediately she hears Cardi B. And so already that's not ideal, right? Like that could happen at any time. Cardi B is very famous. But then she is getting in the elevator, and then she notices the person who screamed Cardi B got in the elevator with her and has a phone in her face. And so she goes, "What are you doing? Aren't you security?" Because she had security on her. And then she's talking to her while she's in the elevator, and then she exits the elevator, and she says she can still feel this person behind her. So then she turns around, she's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you recording me? You gotta get out of my face. I'm trying to go to the doctor." And then that's when the person who was recording her, the security guard, got real angry and was like, "I could do what I want. It's my phone. This is my building," which is a misunderstanding of what security is. If that really was said, oof. I've never met a security guard who thought they were clocking in to own the building for a little while. But then they got into what Cardi B says was only a verbal altercation. There was the receptionist and the doctor that came into, I guess, the hallway to break things up. But she said, "I didn't touch her, she didn't touch me," so I didn't really think of it again, because if you don't know Cardi B, you should at least know that she's used to verbal altercations. I'm sure they don't stick with her. She was on Love and Hip Hop. And so then she just sort of goes about her life, and then she gets hit with this $24 million lawsuit. This whole thing, to me, just my opinion, but this whole thing feels like when that dude tried to sue Gwyneth Paltrow for millions. remember that dude, Gwyneth Paltrow, if you weren't familiar with this, basically Gwyneth Paltrow went skiing one time, and then this other dude went skiing, and I don't know exactly how it went down, but I guess they bumped into each other at some point, and then the guy got up and he was like, wow, you're Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, I'm ruined. No, because this is the thing. Coming after Cardi B seems like kind of easy in a lawsuit like this, just because she was on shows like Love and Hip Hop, and in Love and Hip Hop, there's a lot of this. In Love and Hip Hop, whether you're watching Atlanta, Hollywood, New York, there's a lot of almost fights. You know what I mean? Usually it is stirred up by the producers. They get everybody nice and drunk, and then they're like, hey, you won't believe what she said. And then they always believe what she said. And so, you know, Cardi B's been known to pretty much never back down. In fact, there was this old case, I don't think anything ever came to it in like a court sense, but Cardi B was doing I think it was a festival, could have been a concert, and somebody threw something on stage. You know, somebody threw like a water bottle. And this has happened a lot in like the past, I don't know, people lost their minds through COVID and everything. And now people sometimes even film themselves throwing something on stage. I don't know if it's like to get a reaction out of the performer, and every performer has a different reaction to it. There are some people who, as soon as something gets thrown, they walk off stage, show's over, and they don't even try to continue. There are some people that try to dodge it, act like it didn't happen. There are some people that try to dodge it and then try to find the person who did it and get security to kick them out and everything. Well, basically, there was a time where someone threw a water bottle at Cardi B, and I believe she dodged it, but she must have seen who did it, because she immediately threw the microphone at them. They probably thought Cardi B was gonna be some easy pickings. They were like, I'll throw my water bottle now. She's clearly unarmed. And can I just say, throwing a microphone at somebody is one of the funniest projectiles to throw. Because it's the only one where you get to hear their reaction to something being thrown at them in real time. Imagine Cardi B throw a microphone right back at them, and they're like, oh, is that a... Last thing the crowd hears before the show ends is a, whoa, watch out! Even better if they turned around, they threw the water bottle, they're like, I think I got it! And so, well, they had this court case, and I don't know. Cardi B better than me. If I were me, I'd be losing my mind right now. $24 million for. That's what she's alleged. Like, the security guard is alleging $24 million. I don't even think I got $24 million worth of head. I think even if I was in a horrific accident, I'd probably only get like 10, maybe. And that's with half the head missing. $24 million just feels insane. And so, you know, they go to court, and Cardi B's got a lawyer, security guard's got a lawyer, and security guard's lawyer does seem bad at this. I don't know the law. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know some of the stuff they're saying. When they get into like the real nitty gritty, like the weedsiness of the law, I don't know what's happening, right? All I know from all my hours of watching Law and Order is that if you're a lawyer and you're talking in court, you're talking, right? And then the other side keeps saying objection, and then the judge keeps saying sustain, you're not exactly doing well. And that's what's been happening this entire trial. The judge basically sustaining the whole thing. Like, this lawyer for the security guard keep withdrawing his own questions mid-question because he can feel a sustain coming. And like some of the questions don't have anything to do with anything. It's one thing if you're badgering the witness or you're really trying to like rile them up and get them to admit something, you try and catch them in a lie or something like that. It doesn't even feel like that's what's happening. This dude will just be asking questions that have nothing to do with anything or the case. It feels like he's just a Cardi B fan. The amount of times that Cardi B's lawyers have had to say objection, relevance is astounding. He's asking her all sorts of questions. At one point, though, he gets back on track and he asks Cardi B, you're saying that you felt threatened by my client. The security guard says, client, you saying you feel threatened by my client. I'm wondering why you feel so threatened. What was the issue? What was the issue? And then Cardi B says, I was pregnant and she's coming at me. I think she wants to beat me up and I'm pregnant. Hello? Hello? And then he goes, hello, hello. Hello, I'm here. And that's when it occurred to me that maybe what's happening is that this security guard's lawyer, maybe, just throwing it out there, potentially has never met a black person. I think if you've never met a black person in your life, and your first black person is Cardi B, that's a bit of a crash course. That would be like if I never met a white person in my life. Never met a white person, never talked to a white person, didn't even see one in a movie. Never met a white person. Then my first white person ever was Bill Nye the Science Guy. I think I might be walking away with some incorrect assumptions about white people. I think I go back home and tell all my friends and family, oh yeah, white people, they love space. No, they got a bunch of facts about turtles ready at the hip. Oh, and they love bow ties. Can't stop them from wearing a bow tie. The only time I've seen something like this exact moment, this type of thing, this like misunderstanding in that way, was on a TV show called To Catch a Predator. Okay. I don't know if you remember To Catch a Predator, but in case you never watched it, this was some insane reality TV. Basically, To Catch a Predator, they did just that. They would lure and then trap predators online who thought they were talking to underage kids, right? And they would have all these long conversations with them, and then they try to meet up with them. But when they tried to meet up with them, they would go to like the Sting house, right? And at this house, they would show up thinking they're meeting this underage person. Turns out they're meeting Chris Hansen. If you don't know Chris Hansen, you don't know Dateline. All you need to know about Chris Hansen was he was the To Catch a Predator. Oh, you'd hate to see Chris Hansen coming if you were a predator. And so they would lure these predators to this house, and then especially season 1 was like no other thing. Season 1, when people didn't know what was happening, that was some of the wildest television I've ever seen. Because they didn't know who Chris Hansen was, all of them. Some of them did, right? But most of them did not. And so they'd show up to this house thinking that they're gonna meet this underage kid, and they might even call out a name or something. Then Chris Hansen would walk in. Chris Hansen walk in holding some papers and everything. Now, because they don't know who Chris Hansen is, they think maybe this is the person's dad or something. So they immediately feel caught, but they don't know how caught they are. right? So then Chris Hansen would walk in and be like, "Hi, how's it going?" And then he'd tell them to sit down, and they always sat down. Chris Hansen would sit them down, and then he'd ask them what they were doing here. And they'd try to come up with some sort of lie on the fly or something. And then he would ask them how they know this underage kid, and they'd try to come up with some lie on the fly, something like that. And then Chris Hansen would be like, "Oh, that's interesting because I have the transcripts of your conversation." And no matter what color they were, you watched the color leave their face. And then Chris Hansen would ask them what they meant by certain things in the transcript of the messages and stuff, and these people would just sink. They was terrified, devastated, right? And then Chris Hansen would be like, "Okay, all right, you've answered all my questions. You can go." And even the predator would be like, "What? Really?" Like, yeah, you can go. You can go. And they'd be like, "Oh, okay. I mean, I thought my life was ruined or something. All right." And then they would get ready to walk out. And when they walked out, they were immediately tackled by the local police department. And not just tackled, like properly football tackled. This would have been unnecessary roughness in the NFL. This is the only time nobody's gonna take you to task over police brutality. You know what I mean? Because the police, to their credit, they would announce themselves and say, "Get on the ground." They were just saying, "Get on the ground" when they were already airborne. Police would be in the air, legs up, "Get on the ground." It's like, you know your shoulder about to be in his neck. They would tackle him, and they cuff him up, and then they throw him in the car, and they take him to jail, and then in jail, they would go to the interrogation room, and they'd have to answer all of Chris Hansen's questions all over again. I guess him asking was just practice. And there was this one time where this guy comes in, and I don't remember what season it was, but this guy had a very interesting aesthetic. Like he was white, but he had a very like Vanilla Ice vibe to him. You know what I mean? And so he walked in, but when he walked in, he was like. Chris Hansen walked in, and then when Chris Hansen walked in and told him to sit down, he was like, I. And then Chris Hansen does the thing that he does, asks him why he's there, asks him why he's been talking to this underage kid and everything. And then a thing I forgot to mention before that also happened in all the episodes was when Chris Hansen finally announced himself, where he was like, "I'm Chris Hansen with NBC's To Catch a Predator." Cameras would come out from all these different rooms, right? And it was always, without fail, too many cameras. It was always a number of cameras where I'm like, there's no way all those cameras on. There would be people with cameras in the hallway because they couldn't get in the kitchen, just lifting the camera up. Be way too many cameras. And so then the cameras roll in once Chris Hansen announces himself, and then this guy sitting there pulls down his cap a little bit and says to Chris Hansen and all of the cameramen, "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me?" Repeats it. "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me? You feel me? You feel me?" And Chris Hansen, without missing a beat, this man says, "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me?" And Chris Hansen says, "Yes, we are filming." And I haven't seen such a misunderstanding. until the security guard's lawyer says to Cardi B, hello? Hello? Yeah, I'm here. That man lucky. That man lucky. Cardi B at no point in her testimony hit him with a like that. That would have broken his brain. That would have ruined his life. He would have bent his knees. Oh! Everybody get out! What's happening? No. Because once again, this dude is wild. This dude is asking her questions about things that have nothing to do with anything. At one point, I think he's really in his head. He's having his like Perry Mason runaway jury moment. Like he's doing something right out of Law and Order in his head because he gets his planted stance. He starts going in on Cardi B and he says, today versus yesterday, all right? Yesterday, you had short black hair. Today, it's long blonde hair. 2 days ago, it was long black hair. Which is it? I don't know why he thought he had her. That was incredible. I don't know what I think he expected Cardi B to be like, I don't know. Oh no. What's happening? I thought he probably had some follow-up questions ready. It's like, if you're changing your hair, how do we know when you're not changing your story? All right? Miss Cardamom Basil. If that is your real name. And Cardi B just laughed it off. She was like, they're wigs. Like, what do you want me to do? And then, he gets into the stuff that's more relevant to the case, and he's trying to grill her back and forth with question after question after question. And he finally gets to this point where he's like, why did you feel threatened? She says the pregnancy thing and everything. But he's like, you said yourself that my client is about your height. Why would you be intimidated by her? And then Cardi B goes, yeah, I mean, she's a little bit taller than me, but she's bigger than me and everything. And I don't know what she wants to do. Now it seems like this person wants to beat me up. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they went from wanting a picture to beat me up or just wanted to beat me up and record. I don't know what's happening, right? And so then this guy goes, why are you so intimidated by it? You're saying that she's bigger than you. What makes you say that? And then Cardi B goes, like, do I have to say it? No. And then he's like, are you calling my client fat? Are you calling my client fat? All right? Did you call her fat that day? In fact, you called her fat that day, didn't you? And then Cardi B is like, no, I was only calling her the B word. Like, it was really just that. I didn't really have time for anything else, Sort of said that over and over again. Didn't really get to work in any other details. And this lawyer, I don't know, like, it's like now what we're getting into is stuff that I guess isn't nice, but I don't know how it helps his case, because then he just keeps egging it on. He's like, but you said that and you said other things, didn't you? You said other things. And then Cardi B, to her credit, it starts admitting everything that she said, right? She starts just repeating verbatim in court. She just cursing in court openly, just nonstop cursing in court, right? And he's like, is that what you said? Say exactly what you said. I mean, she's right here, right now. Say it again. Say it to her face. Say it again. And then even Cardi B is like, what is happening? Like, you want me to curse her out again? Like, is this one like a freebie or something? Like, I can't tell what's happening. You know, it's like, no, you were so threatened. You were so completely threatened by my client. You know, what makes you so threatened? And then she's like, well, at the time I was pregnant and I was 130 pounds. All right. And then she was like twice my size. You know what I mean? And then once again, he gets on the same thing. He's like, are you calling my client fat? And she's like, no, I'm not saying. She just, you know. No, what? I don't know. What are you trying to say? Say it. Say what you want to say. There's no harm here. Say it. She's security heavy. That's so much worse. And this man keeps going. He's like, what do you mean security heavy? What are you trying to say? She's security heavy. What does that even mean? And Cardi B is like, you know, she built like she protect buildings. If it were me and I was Cardi B, I'd probably be sitting there furious. Cardi B better than me, you know? I'd probably be sitting there so angry. I'm just trying to live my life. I was trying to go to the doctor privately. My business is always out there. People get paid to get up in my business and everything. And I'm just trying to have a quiet moment. I'm not feeling well. I believe was her first child and everything. No one knows that she's pregnant. And then this whole thing blows up and then she gets sued for $24 million. And you know, she's better than me. I'd be sitting there furious at that lawyer. You know? And if I was a security guard sitting there watching this happen, I'd be furious at that lawyer. What are you doing? You're just getting me roasted in open court. This doesn't feel like it's getting me any closer to $24 million. Oh. Because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm better than anybody, okay? If times get tough, if things get rough for me, I run into George Clooney. It's just me and George Clooney in the hallway. I know I haven't been able to pay my rent or anything. Is his word against mine? I'm gonna see George Clooney. I'm gonna put my hand on the ground. I'm just gonna. Look at what George Clooney did to me. Why would Ocean's 11's George Clooney do this? I thought he was a good man. I can't believe that Ocean 12's own George Clooney would step on my hand like this. What's that you say? He still owns the tequila company? Oh no. Who would have thought Ocean's 13 George Clooney would be capable of something like this? I thought he'd be president one day. Nah, easily. It doesn't have to be George Clooney. I don't even need like A-list. I really don't. If I see Neil deGrasse Tyson Times are tough. I run into Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm throwing a bowling ball straight in the air and catching it with my head. I was like, oh no! I can't believe Neil deGrasse Tyson did one of Newton's laws of motion to me. I think it was the first one. Oh. Doesn't have any popular person will do, you know? If I see William H. Macy, I'm gonna run into a wall like that dude from the show Fargo. I'm gonna run right into. If I ever meet William H. Macy, he better pray we outside. Because if she's trying to get money out of Cardi B, you know, this is not the way. She over here admitting that she only got nicked. Just a little. That quick. That. And she said that she had to have 2 plastic surgeries. Even brought the plastic surgeon to court. And the plastic surgeon came into court with a picture, right? Now, the plastic surgeon, this is also why I feel like this case is bogus, because she doesn't have a picture of the scratch from the day that it happened. Her plastic surgeon had to come in and do a before and after picture. And honestly, I don't know if that dude, the plastic surgeon, I don't see what he did. Like, it's... Even when they tried to show the cut, like the little scar that Cardi B supposedly gave her, maybe they didn't zoom in enough. Like, I don't know what's, but they had the little line pointing straight to it, and I'm squinting. It doesn't even look like Cardi B did $24 of damage. Oh, you try and get money out of Cardi B, this is not the way to do it. All you gotta do is make sure y'all are still alone. The other problem, and the reason this whole case feels fishy, is because her lawyers, and I suppose even her, didn't want the receptionist or the doctor that broke them up testifying. That seems suspicious. If I got $24 billion worth of damage done to me, I'd call everybody who was within earshot. You know what I mean? Oh, you heard me. You remember? I was like, oh no, $24 million just fell out of my face, right? So the fact that her lawyers didn't want those people testifying seems fishy. And then you kind of understand why. I don't know if she was a fully surprise witness or anything, but I know they were trying to block it for a long time. And so the receptionist finally sits down on the stand and testifies, right? And the security guard's lawyer is over here asking just all the relevant questions, right? And some of the questions are getting objected to and then sustained because they're a little leading. You know what I mean? Like he asked a question about how wasn't it my client's job to see fit who should and should not be in the building? And then obviously Cardi B's lawyers objected because how is the receptionist for one office building in this entire building supposed to know all the ins and outs of the security guard's job, right? And they get to this moment where the receptionist comes out because she says that she heard a commotion, and she gets out there and Cardi B is up against a wall like this, like back up against the wall, and security guard is yelling in her face, right? And so then she, immediately upset by what she's seeing, gets in between the two of them and is breaking it up and tells the security guard, I don't know what's going on here, but you need to go back to your post. This is very unprofessional, everything. And everybody's screaming just so everybody can be heard, right? And the lawyer gets excited. He's like, and so do you think that this could be the moment that Cardi B scratched my client's face? And then the receptionist goes, actually, I'm really the only one that got hit out of the both of them. Like, I was... You know, you try to be a good Samaritan, but... And not only does she say that she's like the only one that got hit between them, but she got a scratch on her face, a scratch that bled, and a scratch on her face that bled that came from the security guard. You could tell the lawyer's out here panicking. He's... Whoops. Okay, all right. And so then he starts, in my opinion at least, sort of like badgering her a little bit with questions to try to like double back from the fact that now it looks like the only person that may have assaulted someone is his client. And so he then says, he's like, yes, but you also weren't there the entire time, so you didn't witness the entire altercation. Maybe Cardi B spit on my client before you got there. Maybe she scratched her face before you got there, but you got there and you broke it up and you say that you didn't see anything. But maybe something happened before you got there. You don't know. You don't know. And then the receptionist was like, yeah, I guess I didn't know what it was like to be there till I was there. Yes, I suppose. You got me there. Because it's not just the scratch, I should point out. The scratch is the main thing, but the security guard is also, to my knowledge at least, alleging that Cardi B got her fired as well. You know? And then they had the doctor testify. And I won't say that the security guard's lawyers tried to poison the jury, because they were pushing a narrative the entire time. And the narrative was that obviously the receptionist and the doctor would back Cardi B because she was a client of theirs, a patient. So it benefits them to back up her story, right? And they even say as much while the two people are on the stand, you know? But then the receptionist says, no, actually, the security guard hit me up and said we should sue Cardi B. And I was like, nah, because you started it. Which is also not great for a security guard's lawyer. He's over here, okay, well, look, nothing further. And then they had the doctor testify. Now, the doctor was the last to the scene, so by the time he comes out, the receptionist is getting in between Cardi B and the security guard. So he said he was also very upset about what was happening, you know, and he was trying to make sure this thing got broken up. Now, the doctor said, look, what I saw wasn't just unprofessional, it was very concerning to me. And I got out there, and the only thing I could think to do was try to match the body language of the security guards. I don't even know what that means, but I imagine it means he ran up out there, he saw three people arguing, and he was like, hey! Cut that out! Because by his own account, it's not like he the one pulling people from people or anything. Reception has already broken it up and taken some punishment, and so... And then took Cardi B in, they had their appointment and everything, and then he was so disturbed by what happened and what he saw that he reached out to Superior for the security guard, and, you know, said that soon after that she was taken downstairs during a shift and like let go, right? And that also doesn't look great for her case, because she alleges that Cardi B got her fired, and now this dude in open court was like, no, it was me. It was me. It was me 100%. And I guess I'm just coming from a place of like, if you really wanted to sue Cardi B for $24 million, you don't wait until there's other people involved that are all gonna have different accounts of what happened. If you wanted to sue Cardi B for $24 million, you just walk up to Cardi B before she gets in the elevator and say, "Hey, Cardi B, how you doing?" And then throw yourself down some stairs.
That's gonna be the easiest way to do it, you know? Throw yourself down some stairs, all the while screaming out Cardi B singles for every step that you hit. You finally hit that last step, you're like, oh, why would top charting artist Cardi B do this? Oh, she's really about that life. These are bloody shoes.
It's Josh Johnson in 3D!
Ooh, I'm in 3D. Good popcorn. Everybody's so mad at Timothée Chalamet. This is, wow. This is very mad. Okay, in case you didn't see it, this woof. Okay, so in case you didn't see it, he was talking to Matthew McConaughey, right? And they were surrounded. It was like a CNN variety thing, and they were all together in this room where a bunch of, I guess, like aspiring actors were surrounding them. The setup felt awkward, but basically Timothée Chalamet said, at some point, he was talking about film, and he was like, I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or one of these things where they're like, please keep this thing alive even though nobody cares about it anymore, right? And I didn't know so many people did ballet and opera because the way that they came for his life, his head, everything, wow. So I thought it would be fun to come to the Wheeler Opera House. And talk about it. Because this is the thing. Look, this is the thing. Okay, so people were very, very upset. It's so big. It feels crazy that it's that big. We're at war. It's crazy that it's got this big. I thought it would blow over in like a day. You know, and no, people still out here making videos. People still out here talking about it. Even me. It got me too. Even the Met replied. The Met, you know, okay. I understand being upset at the idea, even the sentiment that like your art, the thing that you pour all of yourself into, is dying, right? I understand how it feels dismissive and offensive and everything. I'm not coming at anybody who had a response. I'm just saying like the Met replied with a video. I understand he was being disrespectful. He was being disrespectful to two art forms that are like actually the cornerstone of where a lot of creativity has come from, right? I understand that. I do get that. The Met, okay, this would be like, okay, because I've you know, been out with friends or whatever, and someone will say something about how they don't care at all about basketball. They don't care. I don't know what the rules are. They get it in the hoop, I guess. I don't care, right? Barclays Center doesn't reply to that person to be like, actually, a lot of people like it. Yeah, like. But I understand why the Met did it, because here's the thing. If you are in any creative field right now that in any way is struggling, you know, what is usually money that we count as the struggle. More often than not, it's like this thing isn't making money, so it must be struggling. And I think that sometimes we do the same thing that I at least think Timothy was doing when he said that, which is we confuse
like commerce with creativity. You know, we look at this exchange of artists giving us their work and us returning it with our attention, and we look at it in a way that I don't think is helpful to art at all. Just ask an artist. And what happens is, if you're not making a ton of money, you must not be good at art, is the idea. And if you make a bunch of money, you must be the best at art, which everyone knows is not true. And so I think that when you talk about this thing is dying or nobody cares about it anymore, it's like, I think you're only speaking on money. And so if something doesn't yield a lot of money, in the back of our minds, it's not great art. Because if it was great art, more people would engage with it, give more of their dollars to it. It would just be more substantial, you know? But that's not why you do art. I know maybe for some people it is, but it shouldn't be. That's not what makes art. Imagine if your kid came to you and said, when I grow up, I want to make money. I'm talking stacks. I'm a paint. Oh, sweetie. I have terrible news for you about the art world. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say that artists don't make money and that people don't care about art that doesn't end up making money. We have to do like an uncoupling of art and money, of art and popularity. Real art, the things that move you, they move you. And sometimes they happen to move other people. But whether they do or not, that shouldn't determine whether we count them as art. You see a painting and you're moved, that's art to you. You hear a song and you're moved, that's art to you. It shouldn't matter how many streams it has. It shouldn't matter if the person that made it is on the charts. The song moved you. Art is so subjective, not just in its value, but also in like its meaning to the individual, that you will hear a song that moves you more than anything has ever moved you in your life. And you might even be blessed enough to one day meet the person who wrote that song and get to tell them what that song meant to you and how you could hear the pain that they had in the relationship that they were longing for in the song, and you came across that song in a time in your life when you were also hurting deeply. Maybe you lost someone, maybe it was a loved one, or maybe you lost love. Maybe someone broke up with you and you just could not put it into words, even in the quiet of your own mind. You couldn't find the words, and you heard that song and it was everything that you had ever wanted to say to yourself about what you were going through. And you get to tell them that. And then maybe they say, oh, wow, I'm so glad it moved you. That song was about heroin. Because that's part of art. Part of art is making it and then letting it go, letting it be whatever it is to other people. You know? You spend a lot of time, especially when you begin as an artist, making bad art. Now, this bad art, maybe it's bad because it's not well communicated. Maybe it's bad, someone would say, because it's not making any money and no one knows who you are yet. Or maybe it's just bad in your own opinion based on the skills that you build off the skills you didn't have when you first did the art. Right? So it takes a long time. And then to have your art recognized it's a tremendously powerful thing. To get an award for your art means so much, because as artists, no matter what you do, I don't know if you act, if you write, whether it's poetry, novels, whatever you do, whatever artistic thing it is that you do, you are on your own in this endeavor. Even when you're with a group, your contribution comes from you. You are on your own as you do it. And because you're on your own, you're just sometimes what feels like floating in a void. Is this good? Is this worth it? Should I share it? All these things that eat away at your artistic endeavor. An award sometimes is the validation that you need to keep going, and it shouldn't be, but sometimes it is. It's nice when someone or a group of people or everybody is like, wow, that's art. You killed it. And maybe that's why Timothée Chalamet wants an Oscar so bad. Because he's clearly killing it. He's been in a lot of blockbusters. He's known as a great actor, but this thing, the pinnacle, he hasn't reached it yet. And so he's been on a marketing campaign for a movie that he did. It feels like the campaign has been going on longer than the movie was out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've seen more interviews for it than longer than it was, but you get it. And I'll even say this, I don't know if this is gonna come off however it comes off, but I personally view Timothée Chalamet as someone who promotes his movie like his character from the movie. Do you know what I mean? So when he was like sweet and sensitive and quiet, that's how he promoted the movie. You see in interviews where he was like, I'm just happy to be working with it. I just, it's like the artist. It's like, what did you say? No, we should really just it doesn't matter what I said, you know what I mean? Like, we should really just listen to more women speak. That's like what's... And now for Marty Supreme, you can guess what the character's like, because Timmy's out here, hard, promoting. This is the movie. Have you seen the movie? Then what you doing with your life? Get together, Marty Supreme, Christmas Day. And I think some of the annoyance is, it's because we don't have a sort of like monoculture anymore that just feeds us the thing to be watching and to be talking about. Once the internet sort of democratized attention, we got to this place where, okay, I could do anything all day. I could watch 2 hours of cat videos. I could watch like 2 hours of cat videos and nobody can stop me. You're not the boss of me. And I'm not crazy for watching 2 hours of cat videos because you provided them to me, internet. Like you're acting like I have some sort of choice. There's a cat video, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. And so you're able now to go from what was cable, which is just, this is what's gonna be on, and you can watch this at 8 o'clock, or you can change the channel and watch something else at 8 o'clock. But all the TV and all the attention is already sort of spoken for in a way. And then the internet made it so that you could be doing anything. You could just be playing chess for 3 hours online, losing. Losing badly. Losing in a way that makes you question if you understand the concepts of space. Losing so fundamentally that it makes you wonder if you're colorblind to what black and white are. Losing horrifically. Losing so bad that you scream into a screen that can't hear you. It can't hear you, and neither can your opponent. You just lost in a room by yourself playing chess. And one day, maybe you won't lose, but that day isn't today. You've been losing for 3 hours straight. You've been putting all of your time and attention into doing these en passant and, trying to get somebody to fall for the scholar's mate and everything, and now you're just sitting here in checkmate. You don't even have the strength in your hand to refresh the page because you don't know if you can lose again. If you lose again, you might snap. This might be, who would have thought, with everything going on in the world, who would have thought losing a chess for 3 hours was the thing that would break you? And so you could do that. You could do that. You could watch cat videos. You could do whatever. So then when you see something over and over again, like Timothée Chalamet promoting Marty Supreme, it feels a bit forced. Because you're not used to seeing things you don't feel like seeing anymore. I mean, outside of the news. I feel like Tim was out here promoting hard, believing in this movie, campaigning for that Best Actor Oscar award. But this is a tough year to try to get it. Because you also have Sinners. Wow. Okay, look, if you haven't seen Sinners, what are you doing with your life? Look, if you haven't seen Sinners, just Sinners winning, sweeping at the Oscars for the story would be amazing. Because Ryan Coogler, this man got a groundbreaking deal for this movie. This man got a groundbreaking deal for this movie in a time where we're not even really making new things often. we are leaning on nostalgia hard. Everybody's trying to make it a bygone era all over again. Do it all the time. Come on, y'all, Rush Hour 4. It needs to happen. You as a creative, right, up against the industry. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, you can probably appreciate what this story means for people. You as a creative are up against your industry to create something new. You want to make something new because everyone's kind of sick of the stuff we've seen before. We can't stay nostalgic for the 90s forever. You know, I love 90s nostalgia just as much as anybody else. It's when my knees were the best. Like, I love 90s nostalgia. I'm trying to do 90s nostalgia all the time. Like, hey, do y'all remember when... Y'all remember I did that push-up real fast? That was good stuff, man. 90s were all right. All the musicians I liked were still alive and we didn't know enough about them. You know what I mean? 90s, wow, ooh. 90s, even into the 2000s. Still pretty good. We didn't appreciate it back then. It was like we had just enough tech to feel like we were headed towards the future, but not enough that it was like rotting our brain. At most, you played like Centipede on your phone too much. But yeah, there's this thing that you sit down as a creative and you sit down opposite your industry, whatever the gatekeepers are, whatever the people with the big money, right? And you pitch to them. And they're used to being pitched to. But you pitch to them something where I still don't know, to the moment I'm speaking, how this ever happened. You pitch them a deal that if it works, and if everyone watches it work, could be the death of the old guard of your industry. It could be the death of the way that things are done. You know, he negotiated this incredible deal, like a generational wealth type of deal. You dream about these deals, and then you wake up, and then, you know, you realize you're not on your break anymore. You're actually 5 minutes late for your shifts. And you clock back in, and your boss is breathing down your neck, but you're like, one day I'll be able to make just art. One day. These are the type of dreams you dream about when you dream about a deal like this. And it was gonna be him making money off of like $1. None of this like funny business, Hollywood accounting, where you tell me I get points on the thing, but then you also tell me the thing never became profitable while bragging about how profitable it was because you made back channels for yourself to pay yourself to where you're still in debt even though you made all the money. None of that. Also, I'll own it again. Over time, I'll own it again. This thing that is wildly popular, I'll get ownership back. I actually have ownership over my intellectual property. You can have it for a little while, but you're just borrowing it. It's mine. It was a deal that was usually what the industry does to the artist. So it was mind-blowing. And then they make the movie. The movie drops. The movie is very good. The movie's incredible, and we expect nothing less. It's Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. These are the people that brought us Creed, Black Panther, Fruitville Station. It even got the Black Panther treatment, where if you were in a room and you didn't like Sinners that much, you better not tell anybody. I like Sinners, but I watched some people who didn't like Sinners that much voice that they didn't like Sinners that much, and then watch them get eaten alive verbally. Like, I had to act like I didn't even come with them. I was like, I don't know who he is. And you saw the articles come out when Sinners came out, and the articles were fascinating because the articles were hating hard. These articles, people act like they didn't write them now that like everybody loves the movie. But woof, Sinners came out and they were like, all right, it made $50 million, but it cost way more than that to make, so like, we'll see. You're like, oh, I've never seen an article like that. It's like, okay, Sinners made like $90 million, but 90 isn't 92. It finally got to the point where articles were coming out that were like, look, Sinners made a lot of money, but it didn't make it all at once. It didn't make it like on the first day, though. It felt like these articles were written in the voice of like, if you like someone and then they curbed you and you got to write an article about their current boyfriend. You know what I mean?
It's just hater energy from the start. Just literally sitting there like, he a surgeon, but how many lives has he saved really? You know what I mean? Like, he went to school and all, that's nice. Sound like a lot of student loan debt if you ask me. But, yeah, I mean, like, is he a good surgeon? I don't know. Let's ask one of his patients that's no longer with us. Oh, wait, we can't. You know what I mean? And so you have all that, and that's what you're up against in this field of people fighting for that same award. A lot of people want Michael B. Jordan to win. No, yeah, they're here. I'm one of them. I guess. Okay, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in junior high, all the different junior high and high schools where I grew up would have their talent shows around the same time, right? And so people would go and support their friends and everything. And there was a kid that went to this one school, and he was in a wheelchair, right? And he was the first student that somehow had been in a wheelchair, so they had to update all these things to code to accommodate him. And that can get a lot of eyes on you, especially as a kid. Literally being the only one who is different can get a lot of eyes on you in a terrible way. But this kid, very confident. Very, very confident. Confidence from a place that, I don't know. It's one of those people where it almost feels like they were born with it. You know, because yes, he's wheeling down the halls and he's got his friends. He makes his friends because he's got a great personality and everything. And then the talent show comes around. And no one knew he had been working on this. Nobody knew what he had planned to do. They just knew he had entered in the talent show. And he wouldn't tell anybody. They're like, what are you going to do? He's like, you'll see. That day comes for a talent show. This kid wheels up to the stage, grabs 2 crutches. You have to forgive me because I don't know what they're called when they go around your wrist, but he had the 2 crutches, stands up, and then does a dance routine medley to walk it out and 2-step. People are losing their minds. He got out of a wheelchair and was 2-stepping. People were losing it, crushed it. Walks back over to his wheelchair, sits back down, even wheels out cool, just goes backwards off the ramp. I can't imagine having to follow him. Apparently the kid that went after him did tap dance, and it was not as well received. I'm not gonna lie, if I had planned to tap dance that night and the kid before me got out of a wheelchair and danced to 2-step, I would walk out in tap shoes like, I'm gonna do some beatboxing for y'all real quick. But the night goes on, but everybody's talking about it. Literally, people are performing and there are people whispering like, do you believe that's crazy? And then this young lady goes up and she sings, right? And she's got a great voice, sings very well, sings beautifully, and then gets off stage. And because it's a talent show with judges, they judge the performances, they announce the winners, and they gave it to the girl that sang. And everyone, okay. Apparently, even when they announced her name, she was like, yo. The audience didn't see it, but backstage they announced her name, and she was telling us, just like, hey, no. So I think about that, because like, what if Timothée Chalamet wins? You know? And it's important to remember, not just for him, but for all of us. Even with the success of something like Sinners, it's like art can't be audited. Like you can't penny pinch passion. The things that make people dedicate their lives to art forms,
There's no price that you can put on it. And what about artwork that you can't make money from? There are artists who do beautiful drawings in the sand and let the tide take it away. Is that not art because they didn't charge you to watch them at the beach? You know? Us expanding our understanding of what art is and what artists go through is like, yeah, it's just paramount to a better world, you know? And you know, in Sinners, they have that song, I Lied to You. Incredible song. Incredibly visually, everything that's happening in the movie. And apparently they're gonna have I Lied to You performed at the Oscars. And Misty Copeland, the first African-American principal ballerina, is gonna be dancing. And Timothy Chalamet just gonna be sitting there like, yo, it was 12 seconds, my bad. Like, but he's not the only person having a rough week. Kristi Noem got fired. Kristi Noem, It's just such a funny firing to me. It's like, you did all that and got fired. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, imagine basically being a Nazi and still getting fired. That's like somebody snitching and still going to jail. It's just like, what was it for? I don't know, man. What's Kristi gonna do? Can't work at Homeland Security? Can't work at an animal shelter? Like, her job prospects are dwindling in real time. Man. Yeah, Kristi Noem is just, I don't know, it's ridiculous. It's so bad. I'll tell you right now why I think Kristi Noem got fired before Pam Bondi. Because at least with Pam Bondi, there are people who see what's happening. They see like the release / not release, or the covering up / exposing, or the attack on, or like distraction from the Epstein files as like her. Like a lot of this they see as her fault, right? They don't see it as Trump. So when the files get released, but then they're redacted in these weird places that seem like important information that can't be about national security, it looks like it was Pam Bondi. When the law is literally broken because they're supposed to be released by a certain date and they're held even longer so they can be redacted more, it looks like it's Pam Bondi instead of Trump. But with Kristi Noem, she never really felt in charge. Do you know what I mean? Like when you saw ICE, you weren't like that dang Kristi Noem. You were like, no, this is Trump's thing. Like Pam Bondi runs a sort of cover for Trump that Kristi could never. You know? Because then there were people who were like, Pam Bondi's gonna be like this whip-smart lawyer. She understands the law. Some people were even saying she's gonna rein Trump in a little bit, right? But I don't care who you are. Even MAGA, when Kristi Noem got hired, they were like, oh. All right, I guess do what you want. I mean, we know she a killer, so I guess that's something, I suppose. Oh, Kristi Noem mismanaged so much money, spent hundreds of millions of dollars on ads for ICE. Went to marketing consultants and tried to help her be like the face of ICE, face of Homeland Security and everything. Just mismanaged all these funds. They even asked her if she had an affair on the job with Corey Lewandowski. And she was like, this sort of line of question is absolutely ridiculous. I can't even believe that the Senate would stoop to this sort. And they were like, you're not saying no. what do you do? Kristi Noem out here. The thing that's funniest to me about Kristi Noem, okay, if I'm being honest with you, one thing that does make me laugh is if you wrote a book about Kristi Noem, right? Not the one that she did. Like if you wrote a whole book about Kristi Noem and everything that she did and you just put it out there, and let's say her name wasn't on it, and somebody read that book, they'd be like, this right here feels racist to white women. Like this. Some of this doesn't even seem true. White women love puppies. They never murder one. No. And then Kristi Noem's been replaced with Markwayne Mullin. Markwayne, if you can't tell by the name, Markwayne Mullin is about as equipped as Kristi Noem. I love the name Markwayne Mullin because Markwayne, it sounds like you have to yell that name and tell that person not to do something that no one's ever done before. Do you know what I mean? Markwayne. Markwayne, stop drinking that paint. Markwayne. Markwayne, quit it. Markwayne, stop smudging the glass with your penis. Markwayne. Markwayne, cut it out. Markwayne, stop eating light bulbs, Markwayne. Markwayne just doesn't, all right, but just doesn't feel like a serious name to me. Just go by Mark, buddy. Because Mark Mullin sounds like out of a movie. You know what I mean? Mark Mullin, okay. Who is this person? Are they competent? Markwayne, you hear it, right? You hear it. This isn't just because I grew up in Louisiana. This is like, I'm telling you right now, there's Mark and then Markwayne. Like, Markwayne sounds like he skipped school to go to the rodeo. Like, it's... And he's an interesting guy because he's been tapped. He's not really better than Kristi Noem in any regard, and he tried to have a fight in Congress with a guy who was testifying. A lot of people forgot about this video. He challenged this dude to a fight in real time. They like were getting into it, exchanging words. He's like, well, we can handle it right now. Bernie Sanders had to be like, you sit down. You said, yo, Senator, sit down. Imagine, you Markwayne Mullin, and Bernie Sanders break you off of somebody. Yeah. Even Trump not having a good last couple months at all. This is very bad. It's very, like, no one seems to want to admit how bad it is. This is very bad. This is genuinely, like I hope you can understand objectively. This is serious and it's horrible. Look at his neck. That's crazy. I don't know what happened. I saw that, I was like, oh! I'm trying to have my snacks. You can't just sneak up on me with that picture. That's not fair at all. If you haven't seen Trump's neck, it looked like somebody ran it right over. This is crazy. This man, first his hands. Looked like he got like Smurf knuckles on his hands. And then just certain parts of his neck looked sunburnt, but like deeper than that. It's very weird. You saw it over the collar. He's also been getting more screenings than like other presidents. You know, he's like getting a lot of screenings just to say he's healthy. whenever I go to the doctor and he says that I'm healthy, I don't see that dude again for a while. That's not a good sign either, to have a doctor check in every 2 months, be like, healthy? Yep. Oh, healthy. Not at all. This man, wow. He bad off. He looked like the flag. He genuinely red, white, and blue. Like this dude is melting or something. I'm scared he got something new. You know what I mean? Like this. I've never seen. I understand. Like age could do stuff to you. I get that. But like, no, He is like an older man now. He's undeniably old. And remember when old was like a big deal? Remember when old was like disqualifying from being president not that long ago? I don't care who you are. We all owe Biden an apology. Because he was like old but quiet. Do you know what I mean? He was old in a way that was like, he told the story too low. You didn't know what he was saying, and when he was telling the story, it was like each part of the story was from a different decade. Like he'd start the story, he'd be like, I got this Sacagawea coin from Jimi Hendrix, and then Madonna showed up and performed like a virgin, and Fat Joe was there too. And he did Lean Back. It was all on the Amtrak train that they just finished in Delaware. It's like... That was a timeline. Nope. No, it was crazy. It was very bad. But now we have an old guy who is very clearly old. Obviously old, but he's mean, which makes him feel younger. I don't know if you ever visit anybody in a nursing home, but if they're not having a good day, they seem right with it. They're like just mean enough to feel like they got all their faculties. You know what I mean? Biden was old in that way that was like, well, uh-oh. Is he gonna make it? No. I can't believe Trump being this old, this unhealthy, is still like sidestepping these massive issues. You know? Like Biden couldn't do it because you would try to press Biden about something and he would be like, look. I was there. And now we're here. Like Biden would say something that you couldn't tell if it was like incoherent or wisdom. Trump is over here. You'll press Trump about are we at war? Are we at war? Are we doing a war? And Trump will be, instead of just answering the question, are we at war? You start a war without the approval of Congress. You start a war. And Trump will be like, well, you're ugly. Like, you are ugly, though. You're ugly, though. Are we not going to address that you're ugly, though? Like, we just going to all sit here like you're not being ugly right now? That's the real issue. You're at war with looks. You are. And before you know it, even we fall for the trick. We're like, I can't believe he called that reporter ugly. That was so rude. They were just doing their job and everything. It's like, yeah, you didn't make him answer the question. But he's very old. We have to accept the fact that our president is not equipped, very old. He has diapers. Don't try to deny it. We are not gonna sit here right now and act like when Trump is walking around in that suit, that's just padunk behind him. There's no way. Trump a thick boy, he's not that thick. That's a diaper. That's 100% a diaper. We can take bets if you want. That's a diaper.
Somebody changes the president every day. Yeah, you should be upset about that. Remember when we were like, he can't be president? That guy's forgetful. It's like, all right, okay. Yeah. Unacceptable. Truly, it's insane. Got us in a... Speaking of nostalgia, right? Like, talking about how Hollywood tries to repeat everything. Don't you remember a simpler time? A simpler time in politics. Remember Bush? Remember George Bush? You know, W. In case you're confused about which Bush, I'm talking about the smiley one. You remember Bush? Remember that dude got us in a war, then choked on a pretzel. A lot of people forgot or didn't know this man choked on a pretzel soon after the war in Afghanistan started, and they had to Heimlich him. He was he about to go as president, choked on a pretzel. Secret Service had to save him from his tiny throat. What an innocent time. And he just keeps bringing people in who are out of their minds. You know? And Dr. Oz is over here. I don't know if Dr. Oz of RFK Jr. or what. Like RFK Jr. I understand that there's a process where the Senate confirms these cabinet positions and everything. And I understand that there are some things in personal bias that you would not want to allow to be disqualifying so that way you could be impartial to how this person presents in front of you, right? But RFK Jr. was barefoot on a plain bathroom floor. That was it for me. I was like, I don't care what you do or what you eat or what ferments you eat, and you could be as crunchy as you want, but if you put your bare foot on plain bathroom floor, late in the flight too, late flight is very different than early. It still shouldn't happen at all, but late flight, every step is nasty. You over here in charge of health. That is infuriating. I won't stop talking about it. It's no matter what happens, whether it's the war in Iran, every day, there's so many things coming at you all the time for no reason at all. Out of nowhere the other day, Trump was like, Cuba's next. And I'm like, somebody give him a Valium or something. Slow him down. This is crazy. But no matter what happens, I won't stop talking about RFK Jr. being the head of Health and Human Services. Yeah, the Epstein files, but head of Health and Human Services, you barefoot on a plane. Let me tell you the circumstances that it would take for me to be barefoot on a bathroom plane floor. We're on the plane. We're on the plane. That's the first step. You have to be. We're on the plane. For whatever reason, it's going down. And it's going down hard. This is it. If you love anybody, call them. Take it off airplane mode. Make something happen. Because this is it, right? Black box might not even survive. Going all the way down. And then at the last second, they're able to pull the plane up a little bit. But what a lot of people don't know is that depending on how hard you pull and how fast how quickly it happens, you could snap the wings, So let's say that happens, the wings snap. Now we're just a bullet.
Just a bullet going down from the air. Nobody tries to catch that bullet. Nobody's trying to help. Everybody trying to get out of the way. So now we're falling even faster because not even falling with wings. You know, you can hear us in the clouds shooting past other clouds. We're flying past birds. Birds were like, what was that? I don't know. I think a gun? I have no idea. And then by some miracle, right? By some miracle, just in time, we hit another plane, right? I know this sounds bad at first. Hear me out. Listen to me. We hit a plane just enough to get like knocked off course from going straight down, right? So now we're doing one of these things where we're like kind of sliding down in the air, but some of the fuselage is broken off. So then we lost a few people. They flew right out. They got sucked out immediately, okay? Now I'm still in my seat because I wear my seatbelt like the flight attendant says to. So I've been over here bouncing, right? Because that is what would happen. People act like if you fasten in tight, your midsection will stay in the seat. You going up, down too, right? I'm gripping the seat in front of me, you know, finally trying to read that pamphlet they give you. I try to read the pamphlet sometimes because I fly a lot, so you would think I know, and they still tell you to read it even if you fly a lot because maybe they updated it and have a plan for like if you're actually going down. Because the thing they tell you to do is just like, all right, don't pay attention to that, you're gonna die. Like that, like in the pamphlet, they're like, yeah, go ahead and tuck your head, and he's like, is that so your neck breaks faster? I have no idea why that's a good idea. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Has that ever saved anybody where they're like, oh, thank goodness I put my knees in my chest as the plane fell out of the sky. Whew. There's not that many pages, but you turn the other page. Wow, it says everything but pray. It doesn't say pray on here at all, but all right. And then we hit the ground, we snap off into another piece, right? And so now we're still flying through this field. Let's say we found like a nice grassy patch, like some prairie, sliding through, and pieces of the plane are flying off, you know. There's other seats flying past my head. Whoa, 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 you know. And then we're spinning and everything, and it's not advised. I shouldn't do it. I'm surprised I'm still alive, but I take off my seatbelt because I have a bad feeling about my seat. I think it's about to snap off too. And what do you know? I'm right. Just like in a James Bond film, as soon as I stand up, that seat fly out of the plane. And now I'm running, right? Running towards the cockpit. I'm running towards the cockpit, pieces of the plane flying back out of the plane and everything. And just as I'm almost at the cockpit, because it just seems safer to get to where the stuff won't fly and hit me. Just as I get there, I see a piece of metal. Maybe it's the jump seat of one of the flight attendants or something. I jump up, real action movie style. I jump up, and the metal on that jump seat cuts the bottom out of both of my shoes. I'm still running towards the cockpit, right? And then the door is locked, because of course it is. Of course the door to the cockpit is locked. Why did I think I could just get in there like that? But the thing that's right next to the cockpit door is the bathroom. Things can't fly at me if I'm in a safe room. So then I walk in the bathroom and I shut the door. I do the pull, lights come on. They still work somehow. And then I wait for somebody to come get me, because I'm terrified. First responders get there. They're like, hello, hello. Is anybody alive? Nobody. Is anybody alive? They call out to me and I'm like, hey, I'm in here. And now I do run the risk of them walking up to the bathroom door, opening it and wondering if I was in there for the entire plane crash. But I don't care about any of that. I open the door, I'm like, oh, thank goodness you're here. Maybe even I hug one of them, you know? Firefighter's big and strong. Jump in his arms. And he's like, you're safe, you're on solid ground. I can't believe you survived. I can't either. And then he looks down at my feet and he sees that I was in the airplane bathroom with my feet touching the bathroom floor. And then he justly kills me. Cause yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna like age. You know? I'd like to think I'll be like a good old man. Like I'll be good at it. Like I'll have a bunch of stories. I go to tell a story because I've always loved telling stories ever since I was little. Right now, hopefully in the future, I'll have even more stories. And I'm older, so I don't project as much. You gotta lean in a little bit. They get close to me. And I'm like, this Sacagawea coin.
When I